Hello guys and welcome to the Average Pundits, where we talk all things Premier League, other than today. In the light of the international break, we thought it'd be nice to step back away from the Premier League and talk about some international fixtures that have all the teams going towards the Europe competition in 2020. I am Reese, and alongside me, as always, is Mr. Joe.
Hiya, guys.
So, yeah. First off, England's performances recently have been quite...
Yeah, I mean, a loss against Czech Republic last week, but it was pretty diabolical, really. I mean, a 2-1 loss. I didn't watch the actual game. I saw the highlights afterwards.
Yeah.
I went into a bit more detail, and it just wasn't good. We just didn't look good. I mean, a really convincing penalty from Harry Kane. You know, he's just a serial goal scorer. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is the England front man. I mean, we all love to see Harry Kane in good form for England, but there wasn't a lot of positives in that game. I mean, on the flip side, this week against Bulgaria, that was a far more positive result.
Yes.
A 6-0 win.
Positive result amongst a lot of negativity towards the game, obviously. We do not condone anything that the Bulgarian fans have shone upon. Any players at that game.
It was truly disgusting to see.
It's a very tragic time. We thought, I guess racism in other countries is not as, is more predominant, and it is foul.
It's a problem that needs to be stomped out. I mean, I feel like UEFA and FIFA, they are aware these problems exist. I mean, there are notorious repeat offenders for nations. Obviously, you cannot blame an entire country. You cannot do that.
No.
But what you can do is deliberately see those fans in the stadium. They were not exactly hiding themselves. No. And yet, the officials didn't really seem to be doing an awful lot. I mean, the game was stopped a couple of times, but it was very lackluster, very kind of almost like they were halted to do it. They wanted to just carry on with the game. I mean, some of the comments afterwards from the Bulgarian manager just almost denying it even happened in the first place.
Yeah, saying that he didn't think that they were being that racist.
He said the England fans were behaving worse.
I don't see the logic behind that.
Awful. And then after the game, excuse me, Southgate went into the post-match presser, and it was a Bulgarian journalist who stood up saying, "It's absolutely nonsense. You're completely drawing it out of proportion. It wasn't that bad at all." And it's just like, whoa. There were numerous degrading chants made to players on the pitch.
They cut away at the end of the game, and during the halts, to the Bulgarian fans lifting their arms up in salutes, and also making monkey chant noises.
It truly is disgusting.
It's diabolical. I don't understand why we can live in a world where such ignorance from UEFA and the officials that obviously we can't do something about this. I mean, fair play to the Bulgarian captain, who at half-time went over to the fans and was like, "Stop! This isn't how we want to play. Please, just help us and stop."
It is really sad, isn't it? I mean, your captain has to go to halfway through the game to try and plead with the fans to stop heckling the opposing team's players. Yeah, it truly is disgusting.
It's awful, and I mean, it's not how, it's not what the fans do or any other racist abuse. It's how the players react.
And they reacted perfectly.
They did. Raheem Sterling always comes under fire, whether it's papers or it is the fans. Obviously, he's an ex-Liverpool player, and a lot of Liverpool fans like to hate on him. I respect Raheem Sterling so much.
I think he is a perfect poster child for English football.
Absolutely.
I feel like he just proves himself week in and week out, and especially on the big stage. But for players to undergo that kind of treatment on the pitch and still go on, I mean, Sterling got 2 in that game. Yeah. Rashford scored. You had 2 from Barkley and a goal from Kane. Clearly, it was affecting the feel of that pitch. But the England team, they went on and they prevailed.
I think 5 of those goals were scored from either African heritage or mixed race players.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just good. We go out there as a whole team. We go out there as a nation, and if we're not all united behind the evil that's on the other side. I mean,
absolutely.
What have we got at the end of the day?
Pretty much, it's exactly. We'll give more on our opinions on the England team. We'll get off this controversial subject, but I think it's a subject that us as people have to really hit head on, and not shy away from it, so that we can bring the problems that we have into the light and actually make sure that these problems are something that can be stopped in the future, and keep racism out of football, because it's not needed. We all love football so much, and it's a shame that some people have to ruin it for their own. I don't even know if it's their own joy.
It's not even a game, is it? It's
not a game. It's not fun. It's not good. Just stop. It's disgusting.
It is. But I mean, moving on though, we do have some teams that have already qualified for the Euro 2020 competition.
Indeed. However, before we get to that, it's my favorite time of the week.
Oh, here we go.
Choo choo. So we've had a couple of submissions this week. More than last week, but less than the week before. We have two pretty good players. They're both Premier League. So this is our Premier League portion of the podcast. One of the players doesn't get a rap in the international break, but one is the captain of the Scottish team, and that is who I'm going to start with. Andrew Robertson, left back at Liverpool. Go on, Joey. I'll let you handle the Liverpool player.
I mean, I'd be absolutely insane to deny the man's talent, wouldn't I? I mean, he is clearly a brilliant player. I mean, what an acquisition. Wasn't it like 5 million from Hull or something like that? It might have been a bit more than that.
Around about. He was, I mean, at the time, unproven.
Yeah.
But an investment made by Jurgen, who has just come into his own.
In that whole team that went down, there were two rare gems. There was Andrew Robertson and there was Harry Maguire.
Indeed.
And clearly the teams that poached, the teams that reacted at the time, got great deals. I mean, you look at the players now.
You had Maguire going into that Leicester team that won the league, and obviously Andrew Robertson coming into a Liverpool team and just completely shoving Alberto Moreno out the way.
I mean, that was quite a tough job, though, wasn't it? Really, I mean, Moreno was in top.
Moreno, obviously not the greatest of left backs, but he still had a job to do, and he came in and he's proven himself to be. I mean, this is my verdict: a world-class left back.
So you put him in that world-class
absolutely.
bracket?
Another passenger to join Leroy Sané on that carriage. But Andrew Robertson, he's got to be top 3, top 4 left backs in the world. He's a Champions League winning, and potentially Premier League winning left back.
I would say to be someone of his caliber in a national team like Scotland, which don't necessarily always prevail when it comes to the international stage, but they have got some good players in that team.
Very.
And I feel like to reach that kind of level, I mean, for club and country, you've got to give it to him. He is a very, very top class player. So you know what, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna have to put him in that world class bracket right now.
Like you mentioned, obviously Scotland, they don't reach far in any competitions. It's like Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is the poster head for Wales. He's the one that takes them forward. He loves scoring for Wales. You can see the emotion on his face.
Oh, he does.
He absolutely loves scoring. He just loves scoring. He loves playing football, whether it's for Real Madrid or whether it's for Wales.
I'm not too sure if he loves it playing for Madrid. I mean, he loves the game.
He just loves playing football, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But yeah, Andrew Robertson's one of those people. He loves to run. He loves to play. He's Scottish through and through, and he's a world-class left back. And the next one is sort of a very talented young player. He's on loan currently at Bournemouth. Harry Wilson.
An interesting player. Definitely one which rose to a lot of the top of a lot of people's heads last season. Obviously, he was alone with at Derby, wasn't he?
He was under Frank Lampard, where a lot of players shined underneath the tutelage of Frank Lampard. You talk about Mason Mount and Harry Wilson.
I mean, what a manager to learn under. Well, what a personality to learn the game from. Obviously, Frank Lampard, one of the most successful Premier League central midfielders in history.
He's among scoring records for a central midfielder. That is phenomenal for the talents that he had. He was underneath the dream team of the England squad back in the 2000s. The England team, to be fair, didn't really gel as well as a team.
It's a shame.
But what a man to actually learn under. But Harry Wilson's come into his own. He's now playing in the Premier League with Bournemouth. He scored a top free kick.
That does seem to be his kind of trade, isn't it?
He's very good at set pieces.
Saw him score numerous ones last season. A few for Wales as well.
Exactly. Is he? He's English, right? He's
Welsh.
I thought it was Ben Woodburn. I thought Harry Wilson was English.
I'm convinced Harry Wilson is Welsh. I was going to say, I'm going to fact check here, but I am convinced he is Welsh. Yeah, he is a Welsh international.
Really? That has surprised me.
We're not familiar with that one.
I've been thinking that he's English all this time. That would probably be very, very, very offensive to Mr. Wilson. I apologise.
If he was English, I feel like he would have he definitely would have been knocking on the door of that England team still. But I think he's for Wales, they've got themselves a really good little talent.
I'm not sure if, and again we'll probably get to this a bit later, like with English players. If he, I don't think he's played enough minutes in the Premier League to have had that call up. I think if he gets a season under his belt, potentially. I mean, there's an argument there that Tammy Abraham shouldn't be getting those minutes as well. But yeah. So what I think, Harry Wilson's very young as a player. He's got a lot of room to develop, and if he develops underneath a manager that can take him to heights, he's going to be a very good player.
I feel like he does have that potential, but the only thing I would use to counter that is he's young. He's 22.
Yeah.
Which is, I'd start to say that the age where he should be now or never to make a big mark, I would say. So I'm not sure if maybe he will have the kind of pull that a lot of the young players have been spoken about nowadays. But I feel like if he keeps getting regular minutes, he can really solidify himself in the Premier League. Possibly not at Liverpool. Maybe it might be a Bournemouth signing at the end of the season.
It might be a move away. But then look at the younger signings that they've made from us in the past. They took Jordan Ibe, and again he wasn't he was tipped to be like a good player, like Harry Wilson.
Still, I still felt a decent player. Just didn't reach the heights which possibly he was supposed. I mean, he was kind of when Sterling left, Jordan Ibe was given the next. He
was given the rub by Brendan to be pushed into that limelight, and I'm not sure he was overly ready at the time. And if Wilson wants to stay at Liverpool and fight for his place, respect to him. But I'm not sure whether replacing Sadio Mane is going to be the easiest
of task. Tough job, isn't it?
I
read a tweet online fairly recently from a friend of mine who said he was talking about Kylian Mbappe. Rather than being saying that we should compare all young players to Kylian Mbappe, we need to look at him and say he is the exception, he is not the trend. So I would feel like players that have this ceiling, like Kylian Mbappe, still a young player, but without a doubt in a league of his own. So I feel
absolutely.
Like young, what qualifies as a top draw young player needs to be stopped being compared to players like Kylian Mbappe, because I feel like he is an exception.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe is on another level. Like we sit here right now, I always fact check. Kylian Mbappe would have been in the same year at school as me. It is absolutely unreal that here we are sitting talking about Kylian Mbappe, and he's gone out. He's gone out and won a World Cup at the age of 19.
It is crazy, but I mean, I feel like for a lot of young players in the league, they still do have the ceiling, but maybe just not to the greater heights, possibly. So Harry Wilson, if it was me personally, I feel like I'd pop him in that average category right now. I think he's just maybe gone past the prospect stage.
I think if he continues to put in the work, maybe goes to another team. I'm not sure if Liverpool is his destination. If he continues to grow and maybe becomes like a 10 goal, 10 assist per season player, he could potentially. But right now, I'm probably going to agree with you here. He's pretty average, but he's got a lot of potential to grow. Yeah. Like you say, the ceiling is quite high. There is room for him to be a mainstay.
But yeah, moving on then. Briefly discussing some of the teams that have already qualified for Euro 2020. Currently, we have Belgium, Italy, Poland, Russia, and Ukraine, which have all solidified their place in the competition. Obviously, you've got some more clubs which are probably very, very soon to follow. But currently, those are the teams which have qualified. So if we go into game week 8 and game week 7 of the international break, which we've just been through currently, starting off with Belgium, you had some big results from Belgium. I mean, the first being the 9-0 win against San Marino. Now,
Yes.
I mean, the scoreline was big, but the game itself, I mean, I think a lot of people could have predicted this one, saw this one coming. San Marino aren't exactly the biggest international threat in the world.
No, I think San Marino is sort of the laughingstock of the I mean, their only professional player is their goalkeeper,
That is
who
true.
did put in a couple of decent saves against Belgium.
Yeah.
San Marino, obviously notorious for always being in England's group as well, normally for the World Cup qualifiers. But Belgium have been slogged with the grueling task of trying to beat San Marino, and they've only done it 9-0.
Yeah, you had a big result. You had Premier League goal scorers in Toby Alderweireld, Yuri Tielemans, and Christian Benteke.
Rare goal for Christian Benteke as well. He hasn't scored for the international team in the past 2 years.
Yeah, very rare to see indeed.
Yeah.
Belgium's second game came as a 2-0 win against Kazakhstan, where you saw a goal from a Chelsea striker, Michy Batshuayi,
Yes.
who I mean, we forget is still around at Chelsea.
He is, yeah. He does. I mean, this ban for Chelsea has come as like a blessing in disguise for players like Michy. And obviously like Tammy Abraham, to give them the strikers the time that they need to shine. Very underlooked as a player. International level, Michy Batshuayi has always been quite. It's quite decent. He can always get a goal. He's always reliable to get on the goal sheet, on the score sheet, and yeah, he's a very good player.
Drifting on to Italy as well. Italy, the next team I'm going to talk about, who have already qualified. Game week 7 saw a 2-0 win against Greece, with a penalty from Chelsea player Jorginho in the 63rd minute.
Yes,
I feel like Jorginho, I mean, when it comes to his penalties, I mean, he knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
he does. I think he's one of those players that has a different type of fundamentals than the rest of the midfielders. Like, a lot of players do like to do the flashy stuff, and rather than imitate players like Xavi and Iniesta, they like to do the Kevin De Bruyne stuff and the flashy assists and the goals. Jorginho gets behind and he works on the stuff that matters, mental, and the defensive end. He likes to get in the dirty work as well. He's not the greatest attacking player, but he knows what to do. And Italy have a very good star on their hand, someone to push forward with their squad.
Pretty dominant game. I mean, 71% possession for Italy in that game. I feel like it was always going to be Italy being on the forefront of that kind of result.
Yeah.
But a pretty well kind of like respected, polished off result for Italy in that one. Drifting on to match day 8 for Italy. Italy they haven't played their game yet for match day. They're actually playing later tonight against Liechtenstein.
Yeah, they are.
So that will be an interesting result. I mean, I personally can't see anything other than an Italy win for that one there.
No, I mean, they can afford to play some of their younger talents. Maybe put Moise Kean in the ranks, to give him a bit of a run out. But I think they don't have to worry as much. However, they do want to finish top of the group. They do want to carry on and carry their momentum as a team, and gel as a team to get to the European qualifier. To get through the European qualifier. Sorry.
Poland, the next team which have already qualified so far, in the game week 7, a 3-0 convincing win against Latvia. Not too much to say about this game. All 3 goals coming from a non-Premier League player but elite talent in Robert Lewandowski.
Oh, he's fantastic. He was part of the. He came on in the second half of one Bayern Munich game when Pep Guardiola was in charge. Scored 4 goals. I know that it was the first half, wasn't it? And it was the famous video of Pep Guardiola, hands on his cheeks. Disbelief. What a player that doesn't really get a lot of recognition nowadays. As
outside of the Bundesliga, I would say he doesn't.
Like he's one of those players that is like he's a slower player, but he's more of a striker rather than
an out and out attacker.
Like a central forward, like a Kylian Mbappe is, or a Jesus or an Aguero, Lewandowski is a hold the ball up and he can shoot. He can also win aerial duels. He's a fantastic player, and
surprised we haven't seen his face knocking around in the Premier League yet, but no, in seasons to come.
We almost did. The volcanic ash cloud saved Robert Lewandowski's career from going to Blackburn Rovers.
Oh gosh, yeah, back in the day.
Yes.
Wow.
What a throw! Yeah, it was 2010. He was so close to completing a transfer to Blackburn Rovers.
Could have seen him in there and played a bit of English football.
Yep, and I don't think that would have been the best career move. Obviously, players love shining in the Bundesliga, such as Jadon Sancho and Reece Nelson. So,
well, I mean, drifting on into game week 8, 2-0 convincing win against North Macedonia. Again, not too much to say about this game here. I mean, it was fairly dominant by Poland. Goals coming from Frankowski and Milic. Milic obviously turning up for Napoli still.
Yes.
But then, yeah, again, pretty convincing couple of games from Poland. Russia, the next team, which was already qualified as well. Again, Russia, maybe not one at the forefront of a lot of people's minds, I would say. But
however, they did slip under the radar and almost reach the semi-finals of the World Cup.
They did.
Almost.
They did. It would be a crime not to.
And it was so weird because at the time of the World Cup, I was like, Russia aren't going to get past. I think they might make it past the round of 16, but they wouldn't make it that far. And my brother went to me, there's this thing about the host nations going to the semi-finals. I'm pretty sure, was it Japan that did it back in 2002? And I was like, no, you're chatting a load of waffle.
Yeah.
And they almost made it.
Yeah.
So I think the Russian squad, and it was like Cherikov and a lot of other they just had a very solid team. They had like Zuba.
I feel they play well as a team, I'd say. I mean, match day 7 saw a 4-0 win against Scotland. With Zuba scoring 2. Ozdoyev in the 60th minute, and then Monaco's Golovin in the 84th. Really good talent, I think he is.
I think the World Cup earned some of the Russian players some big moves. Cheryshev going,
Valencia,
he went to and then obviously Golovin also moving. But yeah, they're not a team that a lot of fans believe that they have a lot of potential for, but.
And they proved it in the second game. I mean, and the 5-0 win against Cyprus. Obviously, again, Cyprus possibly not at the forefront of a lot of people's thoughts and kind of international talent, but I mean, a very good result.
Absolutely.
Once again, same kind of names that pop up in that team. I mean, it was a dominant game. I mean, 70% possession for the whole game.
Absolutely.
So I mean, again, Russia possibly
they could be a formidable force for the Euros. Like maybe the quarterfinal finish in Russia would have been a fire for them to go on and win it for Putin.
Yeah, win it for Putin. And then the final team, which has qualified already, is Ukraine. A 2-0 win against Lithuania. 2 goals coming from Russian Malavinsky, I believe that is. Malavinsky, that is quite a mouthful.
We all know my reputation with pronouncing names on this, so I'm not going to try.
I was going to say, that one is definitely quite a mouthful. But again, pretty convincing win for the Ukraine there. Again, another team which again maybe doesn't get talked about too much at international level. And then their second game, wow, a 2-1 win against Portugal of all people.
I know.
The last team to win the Euros.
Indeed. Especially with a team that's got a lot of youth. Basically, Wolves is starting 11.
Wolves is 11. You had an early goal from Ukraine in the 6th minute.
They just
they kind of just pounced on it, really.
They just sort of dictated the game from that early goal. It's I picture that as sort of a Manchester United of old, like Jose Mourinho tactic. Score an early goal and hold back.
I mean, Yarmolenko made it too. Obviously, the West Ham talent again is in very good form recently for club and country.
This could be a very dangerous situation for the Premier League to see Yarmolenko get into this sort of form.
Yeah. I mean, a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty in the 72nd minute couldn't stop the game. Portugal, they had the overall possession. I mean, 60% possession for Portugal, but it just clearly wasn't enough to beat Ukraine. I mean, wow, fair play to them.
Yeah, Ukraine, they've got a I think they've got a couple of Premier League talents in there. Obviously, Zinchenko playing for Manchester City, filling in for Benjamin Mendy, who is sort of an injury-prone player for Man City. But he's he helped Manchester City win the Premier League last year.
He did. I mean, you had goals. I mean, talking in general, kind of like over this international break, you've had a lot of Premier League goal scorers, ranging from, as we mentioned, players like Yarmolenko, and then a lot of some of the England team as well. You had like Marcus Rashford, Barkley, Sterling, and Kane all grabbing goals.
Olivier Giroud for France.
Yeah, 2 different goals for Olivier Giroud. A couple of goals from Gini Wijnaldum.
Oh yeah, he scored a brace for the Netherlands.
Very good goal.
Wijnaldum knows how to score. He's a very good attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
But Klopp has obviously put him in a role where he doesn't play as far up the pitch.
It'd be very interesting to see if he could find that position, but I don't know if Liverpool's current formation sees that position for him.
No, I don't think. I mean, he can be a creative player, and I guess that's sort of maybe what we need. We're missing maybe a spark that we certainly did last year.
Yeah.
I guess we have it all figured out this season.
But I mean, another great international performance from Wijnaldum. A topic which I did want to briefly draw on to, Wales faced off it was a 1-1 draw against Croatia, World Cup finalists.
World Cup finalists, yeah. The tournament that got Luka Modric the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, and it was a relatively kind of uninspiring game. A Gareth Bale goal and a goal from Nikola Vlasic as well, the former Evertonian. But the topic of discussion during this was a challenge made by Croatian centre-back Vida on the Manchester United winger Daniel James. It seemed to be quite a debatable challenge, probably clearly a foul.
Oh yeah, maybe a card offence or something. But
when James did hit the floor, it did seem to be he was unconscious.
This was sort of WWE-esque selling right now.
Yeah.
Ryan Giggs has come out and said that Daniel James was actually acting.
Yeah, he did definitely alluded to it. He definitely said he was using his footballing kind of savvy.
Yeah. I don't know whether you call that savvy or whether you call that cheating.
I'd say it is a fine line. I mean, we have grown up in an era of football where the diving has always been criticised, especially by non-traditional football fans.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what are you watching that for? Oh, it's just players diving around.
Neymar coming under the cosh a lot.
Yeah, Neymar, serial offender for it.
I mean, Luis Suarez as well. When he was in the Premier League, he came under fire from, managers as well. David Moyes, which led to the Derby Day goal and dive in front of him on the sidelines.
You've had a kind of a serial trend of it, which is something that we've kind of grown up as part of the game.
Yeah.
And Daniel James, I mean, a winger of his size and stature, a small winger, very, very fast, very talented on the ball.
Yeah.
I made a prediction at the start of this season that either him or Jack Grealish are going to end up being like, either of those two are going to be the most foul player in the league this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a very weird kind of thing to point out, but
stature-wise, you have a point. Stature-wise, they're both very short. They're both a little bit scrawny.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're probably working the gym constantly with the teams and stuff, but they have a build where they're quite. I mean, they have to be Daniel James has to be thin to keep his aerodynamic.
I mean, running up against a lot of the big centre-backs in the Premier League and so forth. I mean, wingers just like Daniel James are going to have to be prepared for the rough and tumble of the sport, and I feel like he is prepared for that.
Yeah.
But the reason why this particular challenge was so heavily kind of discussed was because obviously being knocked out, it does raise questions of concussion.
A lot of concussion scares happen. Obviously, head trauma and
it's a very highly debated topic in sport.
Petr Cech had to wear a helmet for the whole of his career after his injury. Also, Ryan Mason had a concussion which ended his career.
It was a challenge with Gary Cahill which went up for a headed attempt, and it really, really sad to see, but unfortunately that was the end of Ryan Mason's playing career. I think at 26, I think he stopped.
Yeah, and obviously, if you've been challenged, I get that you want to play up and get the player carded, but playing up to concussions isn't funny.
it's something which I feel turned the heads of a lot of people. I mean, obviously, clearly, if it's even a chance, if it's even a possibility, it is an extreme concern. I mean, that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible, which, to be fair, the medical team, they were straight on the pitch. They were double-checking.
100%. But I
mean, those comments, I think that it's possibly something to look into, maybe.
Yeah, if Ryan Giggs has come out and said he was using his instincts, maybe he's come back into the changing room and been like, yeah, I'm fine. I actually didn't catch the game. Did he play the rest of the game?
He was off the pitch for a bit, then he came back on.
So I'm guessing it was no concussion. He just sort of knocked heads, played dead, and came back on.
Definitely still a foul. I mean, and definitely a worry.
100%.
But I feel that it was obviously played, which a lot of players are guilty of. I mean, I feel like most of the modern day footballers, I feel like if a challenge is going in, they want to win that free kick, or they want that penalty.
Yeah.
You know, though they want to get those players riled up, they want to get them sent off.
I've just seen an article which was Daniel James denied that he got knocked out. So I'm guessing that he was just using what I'm using heavy quotation marks, is instinct.
Yeah.
Whether that's just diving or not is another question. But concussions are no joke in football, and I don't know whether playing that and making your potential teammates worry. I mean, players have died on the pitch, and all the players have, broken down. And to play dead, as such, or to fake that you're knocked out it
was questionable tactics.
Yes. I think being young and potentially quite immature, I'm not sure if he's trying to do this on purpose. Well, I mean, obviously he's doing it on purpose, but
I feel like it'll get solved. I don't know if anything's going to come of it. I don't know if any kind of investigation will go into it. I personally don't think we'll see too much more from this, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Maybe a trend which might need to be stomped out fairly soon.
Yes, diving and
maybe just
overreacting to fouls is
possibly quite an error of judgment there from Daniel James.
There was that Brazilian player for Leeds who flopped around after. I mean, it was a really bad challenge, a red card offence, but you didn't need to flop around like a fish in the Championship to win to get someone sent off. If the challenge is bad enough, he's going to get sent off anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, the international break is always, there's always the occasional good result, a bit of drama. But bringing on to talking a little bit more about the international break, and obviously we are a Premier League based podcast, and this week not having direct Premier League football to talk about, obviously we can fill it in where we can, but it does lead the debate of, is the international break wanted by football fans?
By football fans, I don't think it's needed because it breaks up the whole momentum of the Premier League, which obviously you've got your top teams that want to keep pushing. You've got Leicester that are pushing and they want to carry on this momentum. Also, the international break is also prone to injuries.
Yeah, so it was a very, very big kind of injury risk time for players.
Yeah. However, with the international break, where the fans come into light and they get passion for their country. I've never really had a passion for the England team, other than when they go into tournaments. I'm not really a big fan of the international break, but I'll keep my tabs on it. And when it comes to the World Cup, if you don't see your team win because they haven't played well in these international friendlies and the Euro qualifiers, they haven't gelled as a team. That's where they struggle in the tournament.
It's frustrating as Premier League fans, I think, a lot of the time, because you're used to the magic of the Premier League week in and week out, and sometimes the international break can be possibly a little bit dull. Yeah. I feel like we're in an era now. We have undergone an awful lot of mediocrity with the England team. Yeah. And currently, right now, the future seems very bright. I mean, we had a great World Cup squad. I mean, I still, to this day, cannot believe, I think like most England fans, that we didn't beat Croatia.
Oh, it was absolutely heartbreaking as soon as Trippier's free kick went in. You obviously, we mentioned it last week on the Spurs podcast.
Just elated. I think every England fan across the country was in a state of disbelief.
I think I was drenched with beer for the entirety of that game because of Trippier's free kick. Glasses were thrown in the bar that I was in. It was fantastic. It was a country united at that point.
It was.
And then obviously it was let down. We were let down so softly.
I feel like, even to this day, I just feel like we just underestimated our opponents.
Yeah.
I feel like we went in there thinking we were going to get the better of it, but I mean, that Croatia team were not to be messed around with.
They obviously have Mario Mandzukic, they have Rakitic,
Rebic as well.
Some
really
Perisic. Obviously, with Luka Modric, he's an absolute class player, a Ballon d'Or winner, as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Obviously, the best defender in the world, Dejan Lovren, and called Luka. There's a lot of good players, minus Dejan Lovren, that are in that team.
At the time, I think it was the allure and the magic at the time. I feel like, going back, talking about the international break, that's something we haven't had for a long time. We haven't had those explosive English talents. We haven't had a team which really seems to understand each other. It just hasn't been something which has come about.
No.
So being able to kind of almost get a little bit excited about seeing the team play together, especially on a big stage, is always good. But I feel like you still have the frustration from the Premier League fans, especially the clubs that are in the top form and everything. They want to see that continue, and they don't want to see their star men go off injured.
Yeah. I think a lot of. I mean, obviously you got the injury worries of going into the international break and players giving it their all and potentially coming out injured. You don't want your players coming back from international duty injured. However, I think some of fans' sort of peril with the international break is the lack of, not coverage, but like they miss exciting football. Like, you don't want to have a break from end to end Leicester City versus Arsenal to then go and see England absolutely clobber Bulgaria in an absolute. It was a goal fest, but it's boring compared to a Premier League game where there's so much excitement. Obviously, maybe not watching the Newcastles and the Man United. Excuse me. But.
I think the main thing, the Premier League's unpredictable, isn't it?
It's more unpredictable than France, Italy, England going out there and storming the groups.
The big international teams, you can almost, I mean, obviously it's always only a prediction, but you can make a very convincing prediction of what you think the result's going to be.
There is always,
so it's just always up in the air.
There is always a certain group of teams that you are guaranteed to get in there. Obviously, 2008 Euros were an exception to that, where England didn't get through. Croatia, of all people, of all teams, to not make us through. But that was a dark time for us, and we've come up like 10 years from that, leaps and bounds above that team. We have an allure of young talent that have gone elsewhere, and they've experienced first team football at a young age. Jadon Sancho is the personification of that, and I don't see anyone moving him from that team.
No, nor do I. But yeah, with the kind of the upkeep of the English talent and everything, possibly does bring a little bit more excitement. Obviously, this international break is all building up towards Euro 2020.
Yeah,
and for the first time ever, VAR will be used in the UEFA European Championship, which is something, again, a very big kind of like thing to look forward to as well. I mean, look forward to dread. I feel like it's up in the air, but it will be something interesting which could have a big effect on the competition itself.
I feel like VAR gets a bad rep. I'm guessing we'll probably talk about this at another point as a main topic of a video, but I don't mind it. I don't mind VAR. Yes, it breaks up the momentum of the game. However, if a decision is needed and it needs to be correct, then it's needed. Yeah, it's something that is needed. Yes, it breaks up the fluidity of a game, but there's not really much you can do about it.
Yeah.
And with VAR coming to Euro 2020, it helped dramatically in the World Cup. You've got them tense moments. It helps build tension within games. You've got a penalty decision. The referee has to run 50 meters to go to a television to see if it was a penalty or a goal.
You've got some for the Euro 2020. You've got some amazing stadiums and amazing cities that are going to be holding the football as well. Obviously, you've got the semi-finals and the finals played in our own backyard at Wembley, which would be amazing to see. I mean, if England can get to a final, I mean, a little day out trip to Wembley wouldn't be too shabby.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole country will be absolutely ecstatic around that time, and it's going to be an absolute whirlwind of a time for England fans, especially with the, hopefully we can just light up. I mean, and unite as a country, as we said earlier with the whole Bulgaria situation.
Going on to I mean, it would be amazing to see. I mean, like we were mentioning before, that England currently, the future does seem quite bright.
Yeah, the squad right now is it's very hopeful. We've got a lot of good players that are ready to take that next step.
I think we currently have three, in my opinion, our three attackers are arguably some of the most valuable players in the world right now.
100%. You've got Harry Kane, who's maybe worth 120, 150 million. Jadon Sancho, ditto, worth a lot.
Same kind of thing. I'd say the same for Sterling.
Raheem
as well.
Sterling, 100 million. I'd say he's double his worth since going to Manchester City.
On Transfermarkt, he's officially kind of like ranked, like valued at around 126 mil.
Wow.
Which I reckon it would take more to get him out of City.
Well, do you reckon Pep Guardiola values him more than Phil Foden?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big topic of discussion, one that we can go on to again recently. We spoke before about Pep's kind of use of young players. But currently, right now, I mean, with that England team, I think that definitely the sky's the limit. I would say.
Yeah. I'd say like a weak point for that England team would be the goalkeeper position. That's the only position that I'd say that we're lacking.
Do you feel Pickford may not be substantial? Or?
I think that he's okay. He's an average. Like if we were to do this in Hype Train, I'd say he's an average player. He's an average goalkeeper. He's sheltered by a pretty decent back four, I'd say.
Yeah.
But as goalkeepers go, I think there's better. Obviously, Spain have a very good goalkeeper. Italy, very good goalkeeper. They've got Donnarumma. France, very good goalkeeper. Obviously, that's taken a bit of a tumble, but they've got backups. They've got Alban Lafont, who's a 21-year-old young player.
It was interesting to see Dean Henderson getting his call up.
Yes, it was. Squad. I mean, well deserved after his performances against Liverpool.
Yeah.
That one blunder, which, I mean, you can't do much about.
Still extremely interesting. A lot of people are still kind of forget he is a United player.
Yes, he is. He's on loan, isn't he?
Currently, I mean, our three goalkeepers right now, obviously David De Gea between the sticks as a fix.
Yeah.
And you've got Sergio Romero and Dean Henderson coming up as our third, I would say.
I'd say Dean Henderson, like if he was to go back to United, he'd be the backup because Sergio Romero, I don't think is up to standard of Dean Henderson.
I feel like currently without a doubt, the regular football which Romero isn't getting could put him to the forefront there. But possibly Henderson could maybe be the future of the England goalkeeping position.
Yeah, exactly. He might be. He's a very talented young keeper. But obviously, again, like we say with all young players, the sky's the limit. If he's willing to put in the work, if he's willing to do the practice and get into maybe a position where he's at another top 7 team, I don't see another. He could be the next big goalkeeper in England. Hopefully, might see him with a Golden Glove at a World Cup.
Be good to see.
Who knows?
Definitely be good to see. But I mean, with the international break, obviously, it doesn't have the allure of the Premier League.
No.
It is needed. It is needed.
It is needed.
We need to develop our team. But
I do raise this. Should the international break become like a one-time thing in the middle of the season that has like an off-season for the Premier League? Yes, it would give the Premier League a long break. However, it could be like a 4-week period.
Yeah.
Where it's exciting international football, like a tournament, to see maybe who goes towards certain and then they draw it like a Champions League, sort of like group thing.
Possibly.
I reckon that might work, like a tournament base, and then like they get polls and they get put like into certain groups depending on where you are and how good you are as a team.
I feel like the most frustrating thing is the friendlies. Obviously, the qualifiers count, the European competitions count, the Copa Americas, they count, the World Cup counts, but the international friendlies, those are always the bugbears because you get to watch. I mean, it's football at the end of the day. You love watching a bit of football, but it's something which is like it's like pre-season, and it's just like it all is valuable experience. It all helps the team, all that. But
yeah, I mean it is more fun. Like obviously you watch it on the TV and you sort of snooze off pre-season or international friendly games. But once you're there, I went to one last September, the one against Switzerland that was at the King Power.
Yeah,
and that was great fun. Sitting up and seeing us play Switzerland. It was a 0-0 draw, but it was a fun game to see.
Yeah, I mean it's always good to try and get to as many games as possible. I feel like for the Euros, I personally tip England to do quite well. Obviously, in the European football, it is kind of, I would say, the home of elite football. Obviously, outside of over in the Americas, you do have some good teams. But, I mean, England, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Germany, France, you've got all these big kind of nations. And you've got a lot of other teams as well. But currently, right now, France, they're the most recent winners. They're the World Cup winners. And then before that, Portugal obviously winning the Euros. So those two teams currently are, I'd say, the teams to try and beat.
Absolutely, yeah. They've got, I mean, France have an endless amount of, I think they've got 3 teams that could potentially, like, the first team could probably win it. Second team have a very good chance, and their third team have a good chance of getting very far.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the depth they have. I mean, only other nation to possibly rival that depth is, I'd say, Germany, maybe.
I'd say Germany have a very aging squad right now. Obviously, they've got Serge Gnabry, who's coming up into the ranks, but Marco Reus isn't getting any younger. Neither's Thomas Muller. Kroos isn't getting any younger. They've got Leon Goretzka, who's obviously quite young as well.
Timo
Werner, who's 23. Obviously, some good players. But in the last tournament where they got out, I mean the World Cup, they got out in the group stage. They didn't play those players. The young players have now had time to grow. They've moved around. Goretzka's taken the move to Borussia Dortmund to get first team football at the top. Bayern.
I say one of the 2 elite clubs, but yeah. Again, a good move. He's found himself. Like very big trend. A lot of the German players, but I'd say possibly Germany, being the only other team to rival France. But it'll be really interesting to see where England kind of reach.
It's always nice to see England do well, but I think as England fans, we always sort of think, we're not going to do that well. But I think the World Cup distilled a belief in us that we can do well.
I mean, possibly maybe this is the time we change.
I mean, you'd hope so. And obviously, with the allure of the Premier League, and this tournament might secure some big moves for some of the star players, some players that we might not even think of actually getting in some of the big teams like Everton's, Liverpool's, the Manchester United's, Arsenal's.
That's what it's for. It's the grandest stage of them all, is to try and get those big club moves. But we have that to look forward to. But we also do have a very quick return to the Premier League very soon.
Indeed, we do. This weekend, we have quite a few games. Also, Sunday's huge show off between the both of us.
Yeah.
So.
A truly terrifying concept.
Shall we run through? Obviously, on the Instagram and the Twitter, I have put through a rules list and also the predictions and the scores of the predictions that me and Joe have currently done. It is currently 9-10 on current points for this year. So yeah, how about we run through a quick little prediction list of this week's fixtures in the Premier League.
Yeah, the first fixture, you've got Everton West Ham.
I think, obviously, we've been talking about Yarmolenko.
Yeah.
Cresswell's in very good form.
There is not a lot of positives to say about Everton currently, is there? I mean, I think this will be a West Ham win.
I believe they don't have enough attacking options going front. I think it's going to be a 2-0 to West Ham United.
That was I hate to be boring, but that's exactly the same prediction I was going to go for there.
Okay.
I would not surprise me to see Yarmolenko keeping up this good form. Moving on to Aston Villa Brighton.
Maybe
Maybe not the most exciting game.
I'd argue opposite. Aston Villa could, but I mean, it's a Villa Park.
Yeah.
Aston Villa could turn the game. Like they won 5-0. They could turn it up even more.
They could do.
I think Wesley finding his shooting boots could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
For this weekend.
And John McGinn coming off the back of it.
Again,
Really
coming
good
off
performances internationally.
He had a hat trick.
Yeah.
So McGinn's form, Grealish finding the back of the net as well. Julian.
Yeah.
I think
I'm going to put a 3-0 Villa on that one, I think, mate. I don't think, like I said, the only reason I wouldn't say maybe possibly the most exciting, because I think like it's going to be a Villa win. I don't think Brighton, again, currently...
Yeah, I think it's going to be completely dominant by Villa. But again, Villa are coming up with some sort of magical spell that have made them their football quite nice to see.
Yeah, they got the formula, haven't they?
I'm going to say 2-0 to Aston Villa.
Tottenham-Watford. Tottenham...
Battle of the relegation, maybe?
Quite possibly. I mean, Tottenham, obviously, again, another one of the big clubs which have been a little bit hit and miss recently. Obviously, we discussed it extensively in last week's podcast. If you haven't already listened to it, please go and check it out.
Please do. What are you listening to this one if you haven't already?
Yeah, good point. But Tottenham-Watford, I think Tottenham are going to win it, but...
We said this about Brighton, didn't we?
This is the Premier League for you, man. Yeah, obviously, I completely discounted Brighton. I mean, obviously, I said Villa were going to win, but Brighton did beat Tottenham.
Yeah. I think Watford are too poor. I don't see them winning. However, Spurs' run of form, they need to switch something on. Whether that's through Son, through Lucas Moura.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a 1-0 scrape for Spurs.
I just noted down 1-0, so yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Yeah. I can't see it being particularly exciting, that one.
No, it's going to be a penalty from Kane.
Yeah. Wolves Southampton, a game which on paper you expect to see Wolves clearing up, but again, like we mentioned this again, Wolves are one of those just strange teams.
Yeah, they are, and obviously you've got Danny Ings now for Southampton scoring the odd goal a game now. Which they could actually ease back and get a few goals. Wolves have struggled to score. Adama is the surprising one there.
He is the surprise.
No one sees Adama to score, but if he carries on finishing like he did against Manchester City, the league's going to be in a lot of big trouble.
Due to the form of Traore and Ings, I think it'll be... I'm going to put 2-1 on Wolves. 2-1 on Wolves to clear this one
put
up.
On 3-1 to Wolverhampton. I think it's a matter of time before Diogo Jota and Jimenez start to hit the back of the net, because Jimenez against Manchester City had a lot of chances.
Yeah.
So it's 3-1 to me and 2-1 to you.
Chelsea Newcastle.
Now
this is the exact kind of game where I think Newcastle may show their prowess again. I feel like they may show that they're possibly not a club to be written off. I think Chelsea definitely go into this in the favourites. Obviously, Abraham has been in absolutely phenomenal scoring form.
I guess the momentum of Matty Longstaff as well coming off. He's going to want to come up and prove himself after his goal against Man United. Newcastle are carrying a lot of momentum. Obviously, I was wrong to back to back United in that one.
Yeah.
So I would be a fool to not put Chelsea down here, but I do think Newcastle can provide an upset. I will just call it a 2-0 from Chelsea, because I believe Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount and also the form of Jorginho are proving to be quite formidable for this Chelsea side.
I think I'm going to put 3-1 down to Chelsea on this one here. I feel like Newcastle are definitely gonna press them. The goal may not come. But I mean, I feel like there's someone in there who may be able to dig one out for the team.
Yeah.
Bournemouth Norwich.
Starring obviously Harry Wilson, who was on the hype train earlier.
Yeah.
People always think now, seeing Timu Pukki slowed down a bit now, hasn't he?
I feel
also you got Josh King heating up for Norway.
There's every chance that that team Pookie and stuff could come back a little bit more, but it's the Premier League at the end of the day. It's random pockets of form every now and again.
Exactly,
It's not always consistency. That game I don't think is going to be a particularly exciting turnout. I reckon I'm going to put 0-0 down.
I have also gone with a 0-0 draw.
There's got to be one. There has got to be one.
There always is. But this is a game that could provide some goals. Crystal Palace and Man City, isn't there?
Palace, Man City, yeah, that could be an interesting little turnout. I mean, the goals I feel like are going to be Man City's. I mean, I feel like they're going to come from City.
I wouldn't write Palace off completely. But obviously Manchester City, being the team that they are, can break down a defence very easily.
Yeah.
I am going to edge Palace to get a goal, but I think this is where their unbeaten run ends. I don't want it to be, because the more points taken off City, the better. And if we can gain some points this weekend, which we'll get onto in a second, that'll put us in a very good place to top at the end of the season.
I feel like I'm going to put 4-1 down to City.
Okay, 4-1. I'm going to say 3-1. Yeah, 3-1 is going to be
a high scoring result no matter what.
Yeah, Man City. I mean, Sterling coming off his 2 goals against Bulgaria. A lot of good players can just get goals. Aguero's still firing in. He's the top goal scorer in the Premier League.
Him and Abraham, I think, tied at the moment.
Yeah.
Leicester City, Burnley.
I don't see anything other than a Leicester win here.
I thought this was going to be a scrappy game. I feel like, I mean, again, Leicester definitely go into it with the favourites of with the stronger team.
Yeah.
But I feel Burnley again have had some good form with Barnes and Chris Wood getting goals. I'm going to put 2-1 Leicester down.
I put 2-1 as well.
Yeah.
A lot of these we're matching on, so it might stay a bit level this week. So
I feel like there's, I mean, it's currently with the results this week. I feel like they've been pretty straightforward in my opinion, to possibly get a winner off. But I mean, but again, we could be completely backhanded with this. Completely.
Getting backhanded.
Sunday's result. Sunday's fixture rather. Manchester United and Liverpool. Man, it just couldn't really be at a worse time for us to have this result. Have this fixture rather. I mean, it's just not what I really want to see coming up over the horizon. Speaking to a Liverpool friend of mine recently, he said a 1-0 United win. I couldn't believe. I thought he was taking the mick, but no, I think he was being serious.
Well, if you look at all of the results from last season, 0-0 draw was the last one. That was February. That was the last time. That was the first time. That was the end of our win streak.
Yeah,
where someone had actually pulled a point from us. That was one of the games that was like, okay, we need to carry on winning now to get the league.
I feel like we may be able to hold you for a while, but the thing is, if you get an early goal, the game turns into a 4-0, 5-0 massacre.
Yeah. If
you don't get an early goal, and if we manage to hold you for a long time, it maybe becomes a scrappy 1-0 win, probably to Liverpool. You never know, you may be United, but for this game, before I was thinking it might be a bit of a high score. I'm going to say 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool.
I'm going to say. I don't want to say that. Obviously, I'm a realist. I'm not someone who's going to kind of like live under the cloak. I think 2-0 Liverpool. I really hope we surprise. But
I mean, looking at your last run of form, you lose 1-0 to Newcastle, draw 1-0 against Arsenal, lose 2-0 to West Ham. You won against Leicester, but then drew to Southampton.
It's not been
and obviously
a good start.
We just keep winning. We're on a 17-match winning streak, and ain't no stopping us now.
No.
So I can't get out of my head the visions of Marcus Rashford celebrating in front of the Man United, the Alex Ferguson end or whatever the hell it's called. But yeah, I think we're going to edge it 2-1. I really hope that it could be more, but a result is a result, and I just hope that we come away with the 3 points.
I think it'll all depend on that early goal. If you find that early goal, I think it could be a very easily dictated game. And then the final fixture of the week, the Monday night football turnout of Arsenal and Sheffield United.
Arsenal in very good form.
Yes. Strange. I feel like strange that United Liverpool wouldn't be on the Monday night. I feel that would be.
I think
they love
Super Sunday.
They love a Super Sunday result. But
Yeah, the only game on the Sunday.
Football. Yeah, the only game.
But I guess there'd be clashes with. They normally do an early kickoff on Sunday, which is weird. But I guess all the build-up will build to the two most dominant teams of English football.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Arsenal-Sheffield win, I'm going to put 2-0 Arsenal down. I feel like Aubameyang, again, in such good form at the moment. I feel like he's just going to continue that. I feel like it's going to be a couple of Aubameyang goals for me.
I can't help but agree with the Arsenal win and go 3-0 to Arsenal.
3-0 to Arsenal?
3-0 to Arsenal, yeah. Aubameyang's in form. And I keep praying on a Pepe sort of turnout because he's a good player and you don't want to see a young player stifle in bona fide average at this point. So,
but there we go.
Yeah, that wraps up episode 4 of the Average Pundits this week. Don't forget to leave a like, comment down below. Subscribe is the main thing. We want to get as many listeners as possible and help give a bit of information and help listening easy.
Let us know your opinions of the international break as well. I mean, we do love to hear the feedback from you guys. And then we will be back next week with another Premier League themed podcast.
Indeed, I shall put another hype train little graphic and the predictions as they follow. And don't forget to hit us on the Instagram at Average Pundits and Twitter at Pundits Average. Don't know why it did that, but hey ho. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed, and we shall speak to you next time.